Good morning, students. Now we are in fourth unit. Our present topic is principles of geophysical study by magnetic method. So what is magnetic method? What is the uses of magnetic method? Where we have to applicable this geophysical magnetic method, we will discuss in our class. Mummy excuse me, guys. Mummy చూడు. Guys, I'm sorry for interrupt you. So what is the introduction of the magnetic survey? So what is Earth's magnetism? Components of the Earth's magnetic field and magnetic folds, magnetism of rocks and minerals, instruments, and what type of instruments we have to use, field procedures and applications and conclusions we need to discuss here. But before starting the class, guys, here magnetic methods involve the measurement of the Earth's magnetic field intensity. So what is the main purpose of this magnetic field? Simply, this magnetic method involves the measurement of the Earth's magnetic field. So what, guys? The main importance of the magnetic survey means just we have to measure the magnetic intensity of the, so measurement of the Earth's magnetic field intensity. But these methods make use of small variations in magnetic mineralogy. Magnetic iron and iron titanium oxide minerals, including magnetite, limonite, and some iron sulfide minerals, including pyrite. Among rocks, these investigations also take advantages of the natural magnetic field associated with the Earth, nothing but a geomagnetic field, and its relation to subsurface geology. So in magnetic methods, magnetic susceptibility is the controlling physical property. So what is the controlling physical property here? Magnetic susceptibility. So guys, magnetic susceptibility is the controlling physical property. These methods are based on the fact that the magnetic bodies present in the Earth's surface contribute to the magnetic field of the Earth. The contribution of magnetic body is directly proportional to the magnetic moment of the body and its size, and inversely proportional to the depth of its occurrence. The total magnetic field of the Earth and of its components, say the vertical or horizontal component, is measured on the surface. So bodies possessing magnetic moments, horizontal component is measured on the surface. Bodies possessing magnetic moments different from those of the surrounding rocks contribute to the deviations in the measured quantities. Measurements of the horizontal or vertical component or horizontal gradient of the magnetic field may also be made. But magnetic anomalies in the Earth's magnetic field are caused by the presence of magnetic minerals in the Earth materials. The magnitude of magnetism depends on the quantity, composition, and size of the magnetic mineral grains. Buried ferrous metallic objects such as pipes, drums, tanks, and debris generally give rise to dipolar anomalies with a positive a response south and a negative response north of the object. The magnetic method is an effective way to search for small metallic objects because magnetic anomalies have special dimensions much larger than those of the objects. Magnetometers can typically locate an abundant oil well to depths of over 20 feet. The magnetic field is measured in terms of gamma. 1 gamma is equal to 10 power 5 uh, 10 power 5 Ørsted. Magnetic investigations can be carried out not only from the ground but also from the sky and the seas. The common methods of this kind of investigations are magnetic prospecting, magnetic logging, airborne magnetometry, and shipborne magnetometry. In ground magnetic surveys, mostly the relative values of vertical or horizontal component are of the total magnetic field are measured with respect to some base station in airborne surveys. However, only the total vector is measured due to practical difficulties. So different magnetometers are available. Different So guys, here different magnetometers are available at present for conducting magnetic surveys. Measurements are made using flux gate, proton procession, and overhaster and optical absorption magnetometers. Here also the applications, for example, I will give you some examples. The magnetic method is typically used to map old waste sites and landfill boundaries, locate buried dump sites and delineating landfills, map geologic faults and lithologic contacts, locate abandoned steel well casings, map underground metallic pipelines and USTs underground storage tanks, and investigate archaeological sites, locate pits and trenches containing buried metallic debris, locate buried tanks and pipes, detect buried unexploded ordnance, clear drilling locations, and detect and then demark basic and ultra basic rock bodies such as the dolerite dikes units. Magnetic field is measured in nanoteslas. NT means nanoteslas. So magnetic field always we have to measure in nanoteslas is important. So and so here guys, this is the only brief introduction of the these contents. But here, here we elaborately we discussed magnetic prospecting is a geophysical method based on the examination of magnetic field anomalies of the earth caused by non-similar magnetization intensity of rocks. Here guys, the first point what he says, magnetic prospecting is a geophysical method. Magnetic prospecting is a geophysical method based on the examination of magnetic field anomalies of the earth. So the principle is magnetic field anomalies of the earth caused by non-similar magnetization intensity of rocks. Here different type of rocks exhibits different type of magnetization. So we have to observe or we have to calculate or we have to grasp the different type of rocks of magnetization. So then only for example, if we observe the two rocks, those two rocks magnetization intensities are different. So the difference is the anomaly. So we are using that anomalies, we can analysis and we can analyze the study area. Second point is the magnetic field of the earth magnetizes the magnetic field of the earth magnetizes rocks to a variable degree which is determined by their magnetic susceptibility, intensity, and magnetizing force. Here, guys, the second point tells what second point tells the magnetic field of the Earth. Earth has the some specific magnetic field. So that magnetic field, what he does, it's going to magnetize the rocks to variable degree, which is determined by their magnetic susceptibility, so intensity and magnetizing force. It is based on magnetic anomaly observed in the field of paramagnetic ferromagnetic minerals like magnetite, pyrite, and frankite, cobaltite, and diamagnetic minerals like rock salt, quartzite. These are all the here. He examined some rocks, that is paramagnetic minerals or ferromagnetic minerals are magnetite, pyrite, and frankite, and cobaltite, and diamagnetic minerals like rock salt and quartz. These are all the just we can observe the magnetic anomaly from these different type of the rocks. Here, Earth's magnetism. The Earth behaves like a large magnet, and a magnetic field not only exists in its body but also surrounds in foreign space. So here, guys, our Earth has the some magnetic field we know, but this is not a bounded in surface of the Earth. It also extend in the space also. So the Earth behaves like a large magnet, and a magnetic field not only exists in its body but also surrounds it far in space. And second point is the intensity of the field varies on the surface of the earth from place to place with the latitude and the geological factors. Here, latitude and geological factors affecting the intensity of the fields of the magnetism in different areas. The total intensity of the Earth's field is about 70,000 gammas at the magnetic poles and 39 gammas at the magnetic equators. So guys, here the important thing is, here two values he mentioned. One is the 70,000 gammas and the 39,000 gammas. Where 70,000 gammas existed and where 39,000 gammas are existed here. So the total intensity of the Earth's field. So if we consider the total Earth intensity of the Earth field is 70,000 gammas, but the magnetic poles and gammas are magnetic equators and magnetic poles 39,000 gammas only available. The intensity of the field also varies with respect to time. So here intensity also changes to the time. Here, guys, diagrammatic representation of the Earth's magnetic field. Geographic South Pole. This is the magnetic equator. This is the geographic equator. This is the magnetic North Pole. Magnetic North, magnetic South Pole. Axis of the rotation. Here, geographic North Pole. So guys, from this figure, we learn much more. This is the diagrammatic representation of the Earth's magnetic field. The first we have to divide the four. The first one is the magnetic South Pole and magnetic North Pole. The second one is the magnetic equator, Z is equal to 0. And here also two axes is available here. This is the geographic South Pole. This is the geographic uh, North Pole. This is the geographic South Pole. Here also magnetic North Pole and is H is equal to 0, and here ground geographic equator. So components of Earth's magnetic field. Declination D. It indicates the difference in degrees between the true north and magnetic north. Inclination. It is the angle in degrees of the magnetic field above or below horizontal. Horizontal intensity. It defines the horizontal component of the total field intensity. Vertical intensity. It defines the vertical component of the total field intensity. So total intensity, it is the strength of the magnetic field not divided into its component parts. Here, vector diagram of Earth's magnetic field components in northern hemisphere. Zenith, guys, here this is the true north. This is the magnetic elements. This is the true east. This is the magnetic north. So total intensity T square is equal to Z square plus H square. So magnetic force. The magnetic force surrounding a magnet is not uniform. The magnetic force surrounding a magnet is not uniform. There exists a great concentration of force at each end of the magnet and a very weak force at the center. So the two ends, which are the regions of concentrated lines of force, are the poles of the magnet. Magnet have two magnetic poles and both have equal magnetic strength. So a bar magnet showing the two magnetic poles and the lines of flux. So magnetism of rocks and minerals. Rocks and minerals exhibit two types of magnetism, induced and remnant. Induced means induced magnetism is that which is acquired by a body when subjected to a magnetizing force. The intensity of magnetism acquired depends not only on the nature of the material composing the body, but also on the strength of the magnetizing force. Here, remnant means some substances containing iron, nickel, etc. are, however, known to retain their magnetism more or less permanently even after magnetizing force has been removed. They therefore said to possess remnant magnetism. So based on magnetic susceptibility, magnetic materials are classified into. So based on magnetic susceptibility, magnetic materials are classified into ferromagnetic, paramagnetic, and diamagnetic. So here ferromagnetic means shows very high magnetic susceptibility and very high positive magnetic anomaly. Paramagnetic means it shows high magnetic susceptibility and a high positive magnetic anomaly. And diamagnetic means shows low magnetic susceptibility and a negative magnetic anomaly. Here also, guys, from the A non-magnetic body, B paramagnetic body, C diamagnetic body. So distortion of magnetic field by paramagnetic and diamagnetic bodies. See are magnetic lines of forces. So magnetic permeability mu is a measure of modification by induction of the force of attraction or repulsion between two magnetic poles. Here magnetic susceptibility K is a measure of the magnetic response of material to an external magnetic field. And guys, magnetic susceptibilities of some minerals. Here susceptibilities K to the power of 10 power CGS in units. Paramagnetic, no, here magnetic 20,000 to 1,30,000. Ilmenite shows 1,35,000 to 2,52,000. Pyrotite means 1,25,000, and franklinite 36,000. Jacobite 2,000. Hematite or specular 426 to 3,200. Hematite is the amorphous mineral. It shows susceptibility K 40 to 528. And guys, here limonite 57 to 220, serpentine 1,300, chromite 244 to 9,400, depending on Fe content. Here, Asmonite 132 318, pyrite 4 to 420. chalcopyrite 32. And guys, here diamagnetic minerals, calcite here shows 0.6 to 1.04, diamond minus 1.80, graphite minus 8, quartz minus 1.07 to minus 1.2, rock salt minus 0.82 to minus 1.3, and anhydrite minus 1.1 to minus 1.2. Instruments. Here guys, a magnetometer is a scientific instrument used to measure the strength and the direction of the magnetic field in the vicinity of the instrument. Magnetic field varies from place to place and the differences in Earth's magnetic field. Magnetometer are often a frequent component instrument on spacecraft that explore planets. So here different types of magnetometers we are used. Here schematic type magnetometer, torsion magnetometer, fluxigate magnetometer, nuclear or the portion magnetometer, rubidium vapors magnetometer. So this is the guys torsion magnetometer. Torsion magnetometer vertical forces and torsion magnetometer horizontal forces. This is the torsion magnetometers. And highly sensitivity torsion magnetometers for measuring the vertical and the horizontal components of the Earth's magnetic field. Magnet is suspended by a torsion fiber. The Earth's magnetic field deflects the magnet from its null position, and a restoring torque applied to the same torsion fiber helps to bring the magnet back into the null position. The extent of the restoring torque applied gives a measure of the intensity of the Earth's magnetic field. Field procedures. In the case of vertical magnetometers, the instrument is set at right angle to the magnetic meridian, and at least two readings are taken for each setting by rotating the system through 180 degrees. In the case of horizontal magnetometers, the instrument is set parallel to the magnetic meridian so that the poles of magnet system are free to move. The reading is taken only once in a position, because rotating through 180 degrees will not give any variation in reading. Variation reading. Next application, guys. Exploration of magnetic ores of iron. In mining field, magnetic prospecting may be applied directly in the search for deposits of highly magnetic minerals such as magnetite, pyrrhotite, and some of the manganese ores. Indirectly for locating bodies of other minerals which themselves may not be magnetic minerals. In petroleum exploration, for determination of thickness of sediments, and in engineering projects for locating construction materials such as granite, basalt, and other building stones. So guys, here conclusion. Magnetic prospecting is the oldest geophysical methods employed for exploration of magnetic deposits, magnetite deposits. It has come a long way in terms on accuracy and precision, from the dip needle to the latest rubidium and cesium vapor magnetometer. Magnetic prospecting is very successful method in directly locating iron, manganese, and pyrrhotite deposits, and indirectly in locating places of gold, diamond, quartz, and bauxite. So it is also useful in ascertaining the depth of sedimentary basins and the thickness of sedimentary strata. So guys, today we discussed clearly the principles of geophysical method by the magnetic method. So here I want to show a video what we discussed in this class. All those concepts combined in a video. that video definitely it will going to help to all of you to enhancing your imagination of the magnetic method which we discussed in our class. So guys, this is the video. This is the video helps to you to increasing your imagination. So guys, actually, so all of you, if you want to get any extra information, you go to through books, and this magnetic method also more useful to all of you when all of you go to the field work. I mean, if you get the civil as a civil engineer, this method also we should know. Anyway, thank you guys for your patience. In our next class, I will topic you. So I will we will discuss seismic survey. Thank you guys.